Good evening. This is Ronald Allen, and today's discussion, can we change? And the reason why I say that is because of the ongoing consistency that we are experiencing globally towards one another, and the conversation, the language we use to both demonize, justify, and put forth our individual arguments. Justification is a very cruel madam, I'll say, in that terms. When we talk about can we change, we phrase that as if that is the only position we can come from, and that is, it is hard to change, it is difficult to change. We have been programmed to believe change is difficult, yet life itself demands, the old joke, you don't wear diapers anymore. And then as my wife so eloquently positioned it, but if you hang around long enough, you will. Well, the issue here is when we are talking and working with our associates, our family members, our children, are we leaving them with the same baggage that we have become accustomed to, even though we would rather leave it at the doorway as we go out into life? And when we talk about can we change, yes, majority of us do. The issue is, how do we do it? What are the leverages, right? What is the motivation? Where is it coming from? Are we always waiting for the stick to be the instigator of change? Or are we learning, are we adapting, are we evolving to say, I need to look ahead, I need to look around, I need to use my full 180-degree peripheral vision and understand the climate that is coming. And I'll give you a classic example. We did not have a phone in our home until we came to America in '69. And the significance of that, as far as change, is that my father said, well, I know where you are. You're in school. You're not going to be running the streets. I don't expect you to elope. I understand where you are. And he set that message to us in no uncertain terms, certainly not in a violent manner, just a matter of fact. And if anything, it was more laissez-faire. I know where you are. You're going to be in school. Where else would you be? Yet today, where we've found young adults, young parents, trying to manage their own children while still trying to manage their own emotional and mental challenges. And I say mental challenges because even finding work, the right kind of work, the socially accepted jobs, that has significantly changed. Now, as you can tell, I'm up there in age. Yet, something in me is hardwired to persist in finding out how else am I going to exist in the economy, in these changing cultural times. And I think that is a skill set, a capability that can be learned, it can be honed, it can be cultivated, like a good cup of tea. It can be brewed. Instead of constantly being around the life is hard, change is difficult, why is this happening to me mantra that many of us subscribe to. Now, when I say that I am managing to look at change in a different way, I have my days, absolutely. At the same time, because I realize my mind can evolve, and it has, and this is something, by the way, you can test for yourself. You don't need a certificate to say that you can continue to learn. You don't need outside social sororities, fraternities, or even institutions to confirm what you need. And that, I think, is where the change in different people, right? Doesn't matter what age, by the way, because learning does not know age. But people, on the other hand, want to hold on, and they have a propensity to believe that what they were taught earlier is it. That's the whole book. That's the whole ball of wax. And that's sad, because we know so little. You know the old expression, once I was young and I thought I knew everything. As I got older, the burden was lifted. Those types of insights, don't they spur you to say, let me learn something new, let me learn something more, let me look at this from a different perspective? That inquisitiveness, the childish inquisitiveness, is what, to me, is what change is all about, because you're constantly evolving. And I don't think any age is a time frame to say, okay, can't learn anymore, can't adapt anymore, whoop, that's it, can't communicate anymore, I can't find a loved one. Had a conversation today with a gentleman, and he was saying, you can't find someone he would like to be with. I said, stop trying. And he looked at me like I slapped him. I said, stop trying, don't. I'm not saying I know any answers to relationships. Don't even email me on that one. The point is, why not try the opposite of what you're doing? Why not try the opposite of your thinking? If you're not getting the results you want, what's stopping you from trying something different? Well, here's another reality check. A lot of our psychology and social behavioral studies, the findings, the research, those white papers that tell us that you have to sit in a chair for 5 and 10 years before you can change your behavior and arrest the underlying current of your machinations, is hogwash. And I've always thought it was hogwash. Why? Because I just needed to know, why can't I get to where I want to go that much quicker? See, now that's where I subscribe to millennials. It's not that they're lazy. They are literally the evolution of the impact of technology on our societies. Think about it. Why should I have to buy a car? Here's an easy one, right? Most of us grew up, we bought a car, we sit it in the driveway, we build a garage, we stack oil and transmission fluid and windshield fluid and all this crap. Now, don't forget the spark plugs, because if you break down, even though a certain company, I'm not going to sell, well, what the heck, AAA for like $70 per year, okay, less than $1 a day, like the advertisers like to say, can help you out. But millennials are saying, wait a minute, because of my experience, I'm going to change the script. So I submit to you, if you are my age and older, flip the script. Don't be bashful. Now I do have a little concern when I see someone a little younger than myself and older trying to look like they're 21 forever, a type of look. That's kind of, oh, no, stop it. That's just wrong, okay? But let's keep this professional. Let's keep it professional. The point is, we can adapt. In fact, that just proves that we can adapt. Someone who's much older, still wanting to look in their teens or early 20s, maybe mid-30s, right? It just proves that they can. We need the incentive. We need the leverage. So the psychology that says we have to sit and study and analyze and evaluate and bring all these different entities, family members, social, cultural, anthropological studies, yeah, that has its place. But to get through the day, to get through the moment, to get through the pain, to get through the challenge, we need immediate mental capabilities, methodologies, applications that we subscribe to. Not that we have to subscribe to that, but rather it helps us, right? So do you get up late at night? Do your papers. Do you find a mate that can help you start a portion of the project that you need? Can you sit with someone who you might think is less fortunate, you might think is less wealthy, which is the term in the West always subscribes to material crap, okay? It is crap. I'm just saying it is crap. But when you see that, and then you see the richness of their capability, the inquisitiveness of their mind, the creativity of what they will do to get water out of the ground, to harvest land for food, to get transportation, to get down the road, the creativity is what change is all about. If you're constantly thinking that you definitely need a brand new car to get down the road, then you're in for a long haul and a very painful one. Because once you buy that car, you got to get all the insurance and all kinds of other things. Make sure your driving record is up to snuff. Can we change? I think the question is inappropriate. I think the question is not the right question. It is what incentive do you have in life so that you can communicate to yourself why moving forward, why going up against resistance. And there is definitely resistance. I'm definitely not saying that there are not obstacles in life that will hold you back. Oh yes. Oh yes. The answer to that is you go left, you go right, you go over, you go under, or you go through. That is new metal under fire, forged under fire. You go left, you go right, you go over, you go under, or you go through. Find a way. And those 5 ways, 6 ways I just mentioned, find a 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th way. Just as we've now, scientists and astrophysicists, etc., are now saying there's 12 dimensions. Half of us don't even know that there's 3 or 4. Most people don't have that conversation at all. Why would I study that? Why would I, at my age, want to learn that? And I'm kind of speaking to the younger members of our society, because what you know today is so little compared to what's out there. And when you learn something new, it changes the dynamics of your capabilities. Change is not the issue anymore. It's knowledge, and then you apply it, and then you see what comes back, and then you adjust. So when you find yourself in a challenging situation, one, look at the opposite way of that situation. Just turn it around, turn it upside down, turn it inside out. Look at it as an obstacle in your way. Go left, go right, go up, go down, go through. What's the other way that I can deal with this? What's another way I can deal with this? Right? So visually and geographically, I've said left, right, up, down, and through. But what if I don't fight it? Just let it go. Right? What if I decide to make a pact with it? Right? What if I just make a pact with it? Agree with it. Even though I disagree, I'm going to agree. I want to take off the pressure a minute. You know how you take off the hose, right? The pressure on the hose. So it's our thinking. It really is our thinking. And the scientists are talking. I'm reading some great material right now about psychology. And they're saying the Freudian methodology is just archaic. For today's terms, for the needs of society today, it's archaic. Remember, guys, it was only the 60s, 50s and 60s that we got onto the moon. So now we're 2018. We're talking Mars. We've already been there. We're talking populating. We're talking about harnessing power from meteorites. Are you kidding me? You know? I mean, this stuff was just a few years ago science fiction. You saw the movies and they were so-so movies. Now, it's a reality. right? Artificial intelligence. The point is, how are you going to use it for your advantage? How will you adapt? And most importantly, how will you free the minds of your children from your own inhibitions, from your own fears? Because as parents, that really is our charge. Okay? It's not about us just giving them an education. That primarily they should get for themselves. But, thanks, Dad. More importantly, it's freeing our minds. I think that should be the challenge. That should be the mantra. How can we get our children to think more in an elevated way, in a more inclusive way, in a more collaborative way? Because now you change the words, you change the vocabulary completely. So I think I kind of made my point, don't you think? What else? It's getting late here. I'm starting to crash, but I wanted to just share this with you because, again, managing change through effective communications, and it's been a long path for me. Initially, I thought, I'd get into managing change and project management, and that's not my forte. I certainly continue to mentor some of the change chapter members in New Jersey, and I enjoy that immensely. I mean, some of the knowledge, some of the experiences of these people running multi-million-dollar corporations, I've learned so much, and I've learned to think differently. I've learned to take different subjects. If you take botany, take zoology, psychology, for the human aspects, and just those three alone, right? Look at how life evolves. Look how animals have to adapt. And as I've always said, we're the only creature we're one of the few creatures on the planet that have 15, 20 years worth of parental guidance. Most animals have minutes, some even have seconds. Get your act together, otherwise you are going to be someone else's bowel movement. And that's how life is. So what if you took that as a perspective, and you look at your challenges, look at your worries, and realize, wait a minute, I've been around. I'm 10 years old, I'm 16 years old, I'm 25 years old, and I can say that about 10-year-olds because they're much more exposed to life. That's a fact, okay? Life has come at them so much more. They've got access to life so much more. So we can push down the age where we as humans need to be more aware and more active, more proactive, right? We talked about being a victim. A victim is someone who doesn't understand or wish to understand the environment they live in. Not just where you live, not just mommy, daddy, high school, college. It's the environment you live in. And you must be cognizant of that because it can come from anywhere. That's adaptation. So if we can take those studies and learn from them, how the monarch flies 2,000-3,000 miles, I think it's northeast Canada down to Florida, and back. Some of them make it back. The sperm whales, thousands and thousands of miles, despite the fact that we've laid down multiple nets to catch other mammals, other fish for ourselves. That's their beat, that's their rhythm. So too on the plains of the Serengeti in Africa, we've put up these huge nets. We farm in a very different way, and these animals, they're hardwired. They're hardwired. So how would you adapt? Now I know some of you are going to push back and say, "Oh, Ron, these are animals. They're not important." Okay, fine. Don't take the perspective. When you don't have an answer because you've got a limited in-the-box thinking, that's it. That's your thinking. That's your galaxy, right? That's your book of knowledge. Well, I've learned one very simple thing about life, and that is knowledge does not know age, and knowledge is only limited by your willingness to go out there and seek it. Yes, textbooks are absolutely crucial. I've got a whole library in there of books that I've had since I was a kid. I used the book fundamentals of personal communication on my topics constantly, because the information is timeless. The information is valid. The information is still relevant to what I do. So if you can begin willingly, adapt, reflect, see if it works. If it doesn't, where else can I find it? Can I find it with people that I've been told I shouldn't? How about that for a perspective? Many of us have prejudices that seem to be, we have allowed them to be hardwired in us. And those are the prejudices that limit our ability to deal with life. You know, we had All in the Family and Till Death Do Us Part. In fact, All in the Family, a program in America, was copied from Till Death Do Us Part, which was in England when I was growing up. Well, that same behavior in both categories are still expressed here. And the sadness is it limits all of us. That conversation limits all of us. No one is free. No one is free. Well, I'm not going to get onto that tonight because one day I will express myself of that. But I think you all know, you all feel it. You know something has to be done, and it can only come from inside. It can only change because you want it to. It's a matter of what resources, what fields are you cultivating to get the best, the optimum answer. And if it doesn't come about, if it doesn't manifest, are you willing to go and seek again? Right? So, can we change? Most certainly. We must use a different script. We must broaden our base of knowledge, and we must not be small-minded to think that someone who doesn't have the capital means, the physical assets that we have, can't give us the right answer. This is Ronald Allen, Managing Change. You know where to find me.